Welcome to the Freelance Try. Here we talk with skilled freelancers about their professional journey. Stay tuned for real-life experiences to learn and actionable steps to take to improve your freelancing career. My name is Yuri. I'm a community builder at Code Control and 9am.works, and my guest is Ido Rann, an IT professional with a huge experience in fields of software development, UX, customer success, customer support, and management, and an introverted business owner who had his life controlled by a stutter, but not anymore. So, welcome, Ido.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Yuli.
The moment I met you, I understood we have to have this conversation. So, here we are. And I'm curious. You manage the Israelis in Ireland Facebook group, which you created just before you moved to Ireland. So, why did you create it?
So when I moved to Ireland in 2014, I think there was no real source of information for people, like me that going from Israel to live in Ireland, and I don't remember if there were a lot of sources in English even, but definitely not in Hebrew, right? And I think that it's a very natural kind of tendency when you go to a new place, right? Um, uh, um, but nevertheless, immigrate, right? You want to hear from people who have done it. You want to hear from people and have their own experiences, and just learn from experience rather than dry information, right? And there was a vacuum in that aspect of there was no community, there was no source of information, and so I created one. I started a community with, I think, six uh, um, uh, six people at the start. It was my wife and I, three or four other people who went to school with me in Ireland, and then one or two people that I knew from Ireland, which helped us, on phone and stuff like that, just to ask around and understand what's going on.
Yeah.
And I think in the first year, it grew to almost 1,000. Like it grew exponentially, like it was.
Wow.
And right now we are around 4,700.
Oh, wow.
And then, like, of course, not everyone is still in Ireland, and some get join the group to learn, and decide not to come in the end, and etc., etc. There are a lot of stories, and cases, but in the end of the day, there was a lack of a resource, and the fact that it grew so fast just gives the evidence of how crucial this is, and how people need this kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I totally understand what you're talking about, and it's very similar journey of how I started my community journey, because I had a question, I didn't know who to ask, and then like, oh, why don't we connect and why don't we help each other?
Exactly.
And I
Exactly.
wonder, after all that time, like you already know everything, like you don't need help. Why are you still managing it? What does this group mean for you right now?
Mm. So there are a couple of aspects, I think, on this, because one aspect of it is not just the information center kind of thing, although it's a lot of it, right? So I know that, like, right now the group is the is kind of the first thing that any Israeli that know or even thinks about immigrating to Ireland, that's the
Hmm.
that's the first thing they do, is to join the Facebook group.
Got it.
The first thing, right? And I hear it all the time. So in one aspect, it's a service to the community. It's what's the word? The word slipped my mind in English. But some people give to charity. I do this for the community.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and that's one aspect. Another aspect is just it's also a community. So it's a place where people connect with same, you know, with people who are uh, with people who are like them. And there
Yeah.
are a lot of different, sub groups, in the community, right? Some people are in tech, other people are very not, techy. Some people are religious, and some people are completely not religious, right? But still, the one thing that unifies everyone is being from the same place in history and language. And it's just amazing to see, all the little communities that are formed with the help of the group, or by the group, or with the group, or whatever you want to call it, right? So it's both a knowledge center, and also a kind of virtual community center.
Yeah. Exactly. I totally understand you. And welcome to the community world. That's exactly how it says. There is a book called Accidental Community Manager. So, Ido,
Yeah,
welcome to this
that's
world.
exactly
Yeah,
me. Yeah,
that's how it works.
yeah.
And I'm curious. I know that you are a great networker. So, how do you approach networking?
I don't know if it's correct to say that I'm a great networker, to be honest. I invest a lot in it. I think it's a very important tool. I don't think I'm very good at it yet.
I think you are.
I thank you, but I'm not convinced yet. So because I am an introvert, and because of being, a person who stutters, I think my approach is very much a personal one. So this, right, what we're doing here is the one-on-one approach. I think that's kind of my go-to, because I
Mm,
feel that in this kind of situation, I'm more relaxed, and I can express myself more freely. I see my camera is getting a little blurry here and there. Let me try to maybe get this
that's tech
through.
stuff, it's always
There
works
we
the
go.
way it
Stop
wants.
to
From
my
time to
right.
time, it's okay. Sometimes it's blurry. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
like just tech.
yeah. I'll just do this, and it usually solves it. There you go. As I said earlier, a restart would solve all the world's problems. Uh,
Exactly.
so my approach is a personal one. I think, like, that's where I'm stronger at. That's what I feel. Not to say that I don't do other stuff, because I do think I think that public speaking is amazing. I think that public speaking, regardless of the aspect of networking, and freelancing and everything. I think public speaking is something that anyone and everyone should engage with, and practice. because it's a life skill that is important across the board. Regardless of who you are, what you do, if you're a freelancer, if you're an employee, if you're regardless. I think that's so important. And so I do that too. I do that too, but I just don't think that's my strong element, right? So just for example, for the audience to know, so the way that the way that we met, right, is in the context of the freelancer business month, where I did a lecture there, about the first, the basic step, the marketing basic steps as an introvert, right?
Yeah.
Um, so to make a long story short, right? I try to engage with both type of networking, both the personal and the public speaking element of it, but I think I'm stronger on the one-to-ones more.
And what does networking means for you personally?
So I think one of the biggest aspirations that most people have, right? I'm maybe inflicting myself on the entire population. I don't know, but I tend to think that a lot of people, if not most people, would agree that expressing yourself is kind of a goal, is a life goal, right? Like there's a saying by Bruce Lee in one of his interviews, saying about the big movements and the yeah, and he says that I can do flashy movement and big jumps and all that, but truly expressing yourself is very hard. And like that's what he was always trying to do in all of his films and activities. So I think that expressing yourself is a huge thing of to me, okay,
Yeah.
to me, in the in networking, right? I know that probably a lot of people would not agree, because they tend to tackle networking for a more of a business aspect, and you do that only because it's a tool to get revenue or leads or this and that.
Yeah.
But which is it's a valid, it's a valid stance, right? If that's your goal and that's the tool to get it, that's what you do. But for me, as a person who really appreciates self-expression, because of being a person who stutters, because I'm also a musician. I don't know if you saw that on the
Yeah.
profile. So
Yeah.
so like a lot of what I do is about self-expression, and I think that it's also a big part for me of networking.
I can imagine what is the lifetime value of those connections based on sales. I can say that those connections are very low. And I totally understand and I totally agree that, because for me personally, it's just impossible to even do something with somebody without knowing this person from a human side, from the expression side. And what you are talking about is like, it speaks to my heart, first of all. And secondly, you told a little about public speaking skills, how they impact your life, your networking. But
Mhm.
what I also noticed that you are a very curious person. At least, I went through a LinkedIn profile and there were some interesting articles and some interesting videos. I was like, oh wow, it's super interesting. So just by resharing this, like you already helped me to, feed my curiosity a little bit. And I wonder,
Happy to
how
hear.
does yeah, it's just like that. And I wonder how your curiosity skill impacts your networking skill.
I don't know if curiosity is a skill, if it's right to say that. And the funny thing is, although you're not the first one to say to me, "Oh, you're a very curious person," I don't consider myself as a curious person, right? Right? That's the funny thing. Like, for example, my wife has a crazy amount of general knowledge, right? History and geography and politics and whatnot, right? I'm not like that. So my knowledge as well as my curiosity is not very broad. It is specific to what interests me, and then it goes deep.
Yeah, I
So
understand.
I'm not spreading my interest on a lot of topics or subjects, or right. But the things that interest me, I tend to go very in depth in them when I can, of course. Um, and the connection to networking, I think it gives you a common ground with someone. if you have if you have if you have some common interest, right? So for example, if you know that someone is interested in self growth, I can talk hours about that. If you know that someone is interested in calisthenics or health, nutrition and stuff like that, I can talk, I don't know if hours, but like there's a lot to talk about, right? If you want. But in opposite, if someone is very political,
Mhm.
or very knowledgeable on something that I don't know anything about, which is a lot of things. It's so I think it's in terms of networking, I think it's more effective to be a generalist, like to have a general curiosity for everything, to keep, like, to know a little about a lot.
Yeah.
Uh, Unfortunately, I'm not like that. It is what it is, as we say in Ireland. I'm a deep diver to specific topics.
And I also believe that this deep diving leads you to deeper connections because, if you meet somebody with also deep understanding, like you definitely can go deeper and it's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
amazing.
yeah. If that person has the same interests, you're definitely right.
Got
If
it.
not, it's the opposite. It's the opposite. Yeah, it's it's funny how it is.
Yeah, I totally understand you. But you were talking about calisthenics and about health and about personal growth, and I was like, it's really good choice of themes, for networking. So because if you were, I don't know, interested in uh, discovering spiders or I don't know, like hunting for rare flowers, it would be harder to network. But I feel like you have like just the right choice
You know
of
what?
niche to be interested in.
I don't know. But I feel that and that's kind of connecting us back to the topic of to the topic of to the topic of public speaking. I think that if if someone is very interested in, let's say, spiders, and really knows a lot about that, but has the passion and the skill to talk about it, even if you're not interested in the topic, I think the passion is what will draw you in, and you would say, oh wow, I never knew that, it's very interesting. So it's a lot also about, I think, how you present stuff. And it's also another reason why public speaking is just so important, because public speaking is not only in front of large audiences, it's also one-to-one. That's also a way of public speaking, I think.
I totally agree. And yes, passion plus understanding, I feel like it's a dream work. So I can totally agree. And Ido, I really wish to have the sky is the limit, but time is the limit.
Yes.
And the final question is, what is your favorite food?
My favorite food? Sushi, probably.
Got
Sushi
it.
and pizza, depending on the mood.
Yeah, I can relate. Yeah. Thank you very much for sharing that. And also, thank you very much for sharing your experience. And it's been such a pleasure to hear and learn from you.
It's been a pleasure, Yuri. Thank you very much for having me.
And thank you so much for listening. If you like the show, hit the like button on 5 stars and share it with your friend. That's it. We're done. See you in the next episode.